Hello and welcome back to Le Tome. Le Tome. No, I'm not going to stress about the name. Last we saw Squirrel Boy here returning home after an unfortunate breakup and then something having to do with his job. I don't recall if he was laid off or what exactly happened, but basically he had no recourse but, to return home. And, his mom was all welcoming. He has his two brothers at home still. I think they're in high school or they're still in grade school. I think that's what it's called. And while he was there alone, he decided to hit up this app that is very similar to one of those dating apps. You know the ones. And, he was just perusing, window shopping, but he eventually caught the eye of this Wolverine character that you actually see in the middle. And one thing led to another, and now they're set to meet for coffee, I think. And yeah, so things appear to be looking up for our little squirrel friend person. But yeah, so not much more than that actually happened. So yeah, without further ado, let us continue Le Tome. Part Dux Promenade. I relocate the last of the pancakes and bacon from the cookie tray to some Tupperware and toss them into the fridge. My tail? It's kind of freaking out behind me, shaking to an imaginary beat. It's 9:30, plenty of time to get ready. I'm incredibly giddy. Stefan is really rather attractive. After thinking about it more, the rest of me starts to freak out too. I scamper up the stairs, taking them two at a time, so I can brush my teeth. The old toothbrush will have to do. I lean in, mouth opening wide as I inspect for any hidden bits of bacon between the grooves of my teeth. Clean. I slide across the polished wood floor and unzip my dope bag, snagging toothbrush and toothpaste along with the citrus and sandalwood talc powder that I use to stay fresh. Back to the sink, toiletries deposited on the counter, I squeeze some toothpaste onto my slowly dying toothbrush and get to work. Partway through brushing though, I begin to grin, making it hard to reach my back molars. I flick the faucet on and spit, dip my toothbrush into the stream of water, bringing it to my mouth, then give a quick rinse. Toothbrush and toothpaste are nudged to the back of the sink. I'm staying so it doesn't make sense to pack it up again. Looking at my reflection makes me smile again. Hands find the bottles of talc, and I twist it open. I tug at the hem of my shirt, pulling it forward before dipping the bottle under and giving it a gentle squeeze. The smell of sandalwood is most apparent, but if you're a fan of Earl Grey, it's not too hard to pick out the bergamot. I pinch my shirt at mid-chest and give it a few tugs, helping distribute the talc a little more and making sure any funk is covered up. There's one last glance in the mirror. Blue eyes met blue eyes, and I coyly wink. My feet lead me back into my bedroom, just long enough to grab my leather jacket. I slip it on, bounce my shoulders a few times, then head back out and down the stairs, two at a time, of course. Snagging my shoes before I take a seat at the bottom step, my mind races with what we could possibly talk about. He likes to cook. Maybe find out his favorite food. He reads fiction. Literature is always an easy topic. He's good with his hands. That seems like the most vague thing covered, so perhaps I'll start there. As I'm pulling on my Reeboks, I realize that could be taken a lot of different ways. I loosely fasten the Velcro. What if he thinks that I'm trying to figure him out sexually? Dude, you met him on Rougher, but that wouldn't bother him. Just calm down. I pat my pockets, and I'm glad that I do. Wallet is there, so are my keys. Oh yeah, I left my phone in the kitchen. As I get ready to head to the kitchen, a note with a key on the table catches my eye. In case you want to go for a walk, is all that it says. I pull my keyring from my pocket, brow furrowing as the keys to my apartment in San Francisco swing into view. I should have given them back to Jason, but there was never a good time. When I was let go from my tech job and it became apparent that I was no longer going to be a financial asset, he found someone to rent my room within a week. Didn't even bother to talk with me about it. Things have been rocky between us for a while, but I counted on our history to mean something. I sigh, add the house key to the collection of my keyring, then stuff them quickly back into my pocket as I jog into the kitchen to collect my phone. The clock on the oven reads 9:45. It's only a few blocks to Cup of Joe. There's plenty of time to walk down. I make sure to lock up as I leave, ascend the few steps to the sidewalk and pause, towing at the last bit of frost clinging to the grass. Fall is here. It's chilly, so I stuff my hands into my pockets, then begin to walk down to Main Street. There are a few random folks out, raking leaves in their yard, collecting the morning paper, and so on. Everything feels so different from San Francisco. Houses have space here. Hell, houses are houses. They're not whatever the hell a residential city block is in the Bay. It also smells different. There's no faint trace of urine, thank God. You can just smell the earth, leaves decaying, and the setting in of colder weather. I pause at Benjamin Street, glancing both ways before crossing and making my way along Green Hill Park. By this time of the year, the park is neither green, nor is there actually any hill. Another thing, blocks here are actual blocks. It's uniform. The part of me that likes to sort objects and collect them in jars appreciates that. The next block houses City Hall, built in the 70s. It feels out of place considering across the street are two gargantuan Victorians, which house the Women's Club and a museum. At this point, I'm a couple of blocks away from Main. Things turn more comical, yet still carry that small-town vibe. Parking is actually available for all stores, something a city like San Francisco rarely offers. I cross Main and turn, heading towards the coffee shop. Halfway down the street, I get a prickle up the back of my neck. I'm being followed. My ears flick back instinctively and my tail curls in a tight S behind me. I listen, footsteps of a single person. They're definitely getting closer. As I get to the corner, I have to wait for the crosswalk, and a thick baritone voice chimes. Corey? I glance over my shoulder, then up. My eyes widen slightly, and I'm able to keep my jaw from dropping. 6'6". I knew he was tall, but it's always different when you meet someone in the flesh. Okay, Corey, keep it casual. Hi, Stefan. I draw my hand from my pocket and extend it. When he engulfs it with his own, my tail gives a few excited shakes. His hands are huge and warm and gentle. The Gulo offers a lopsided smile. It's charming as fuck, then looks up and lets loose of my hand. The crossing timer is counting down. Shall we? He rumbles while placing a giant mitt on my shoulder and guiding me across the street. His size is overwhelming. Now that we're walking in tandem, I steal a glance at him from my peripheral vision. God, he knows how to dress. His current outfit is more relaxed than what he wore in his rougher profile, but still shows off his best parts. Same boots though. They seem a bit more worn. I'm sure he's checked me out as well, and since his hands has lingered on my shoulder, he must be somewhat interested. After a few more steps, he drops his hands, thumbs hooking in his pockets of his jeans, as we make our way to the last block to the coffee shop. Approaching the building, I take a sharp breath through my nose. Accompanying the scent of coffee is a mix of cologne, musk, and the leather of his jacket. It exudes masculinity. I don't know if it's a difference in age, or if he's really well-mannered, but he opens the door for me. The tinkling of bells follows us in the cold. As we step into the small line, he finally speaks again. Can I buy you a drink? I'm fine going Dutch. You got it, boss. He winks. Then he reaches over and gives my arm a squeeze. I give him a huge buck-toothed smile in return. So weird. I'm interrupted by the voice behind me. Welcome to Cup of Joe. What can I get for you today? Oh, sorry. I scan over the menu quickly. Macchiato, please. For here. The perky Fusa behind the counter punches a few buttons on the register, then trills. $3, please. I fish my wallet from my jacket, flip it open, and thumb out the cash for the drink. Before she can hand my change back, I nod towards the tip jar. Thank you. Oh, you're quite welcome. There is a sly grin on her face now, and she winks at me before looking at Stefan expectingly. I slide down at the end of the bar, past the espresso machine, then lean against the counter. My ears swivel towards the counter, curious what tall, dark, and handsome is going to order. Morning, Beth. Hey, Stefan. The usual. She's still all bubbles. It's refreshing to know that it's not an act and just her personality. Please, and thank you. The panda staffing the bar glances at me before looking towards the register. Oh, morning, Stefan. Hello, Abby. You're looking stunning as usual. The panda laughs fondly as the espresso machine hisses to life. Abby gets to prepping both beverages, as it's hard to hear the rest of what's said, especially since Beth seems to drop her voice. I'm doing my best not to flick my ears towards the conversation, but what I am sure I catch is, he's cute, before an eccentric thank you. That draws my gaze, and it's cute. There is a 20 popping out of the tip jar, and she's leaned across the counter to give the wolverine a big hug. He pats her back fondly, then lets loose and wanders down to wait with me at the end of the bar. You mentioned you're back in town for a while. He adapts a similar slouch to mine against the counter. Oh, yeah. Grew up here, actually. I remember when this place opened. Folks didn't even know what a latte was. I mean, unless you got to travel. I trace a golden boomerang in the pattern of the Formica. But yeah, was living in San Francisco and things got kinda hairy like a month ago. So here I am. The panda slides my petite macchiato across the counter to me, and I straighten. A moment later, a demi-tasse follows suit. Of course, this giant man would order an espresso. With drinks in hands, we head towards the back of the shop. The mannequin sitting at the ledge over the sofa is the same, but the Mandarin mural is new. There's the quiet clatter of porcelain as we set our small mugs on the table in front of us. Jackets are removed and tossed haphazardly across the seats. Stefan takes his spot in an oversized leather wingback chair, and I on the vintage 50s sofa adjacent. There is a moment of quiet as we both huff at our drinks. Then in unison we each take a sip, as if matching time. He gives a quiet laugh, then shifts in his seat, so he can properly face me. I meet his hazel eyes, and there is a long moment where neither of us say anything. Finally, he picks back up. I can hear how tentative his response is, giving my glum answer to his prior question. I hope that whatever troubles brought you back don't bother you for long, but... He clears his throat. It's nice to be having coffee with someone again. Goddamn my tail. I'm happy you invited me. I grin shyly and try to keep the huge white appendage attached to my ass still. Sorry if my answer was short or seemed sad. I've just had a lot of things happen in pretty quick succession that I'm trying to figure out. And well, I'm trying to sort out what to do now. What's happened is done. He leans forward in his seat, hands settling on my knee and giving it a reaffirming squeeze before he picks up his espresso and takes another sip. The furrow in his brow is cute. Would it be rude of me to ask exactly what happened? I shift, sliding to the edge of the sofa so that my leg can rest against his. It's all very nonchalant but very planned. Same old story for the Bay. Was part of a startup. Things went well till they didn't, and then I wasn't part of a startup. I fiddle with my cup before taking another drink. When I told the guy that I'd been seeing what happened, I thought that it wouldn't be that big of a deal. This happens a lot at the time. Was wrong about that. He found a new roommate within a week and kicked me out. I have money, but unfortunately my name wasn't on the lease. I take a deep breath, but before I can go on, he interrupts. Wait, found a new roommate? So you were seeing each other and lived together, but you had separate bedrooms? He's completely puzzled by this, and honestly, when put so simply, I am too. I reach up, rub the back of my neck, then look over at him. That's pretty much right. His hand settles on my leg again. Boss, that sucks. And in that moment, all the anger that I'd held in after all the talks with friends back home. No, this is home, at least for now. It all bubbles up onto the surface. Right? I mean, what the fuck? I'd been with him for over 2 years. I should have realized it when things just devolved to fights about money or... I try to stop my tail from thrashing and dip my head. Sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have come for coffee. I've obviously got a lot of shit on my mind. There is a reassuring pat, but he doesn't draw his hand away, so I change the subject. So, what's with Boss? Oh, it's just a nickname, I guess. It felt right. You seem like a boss. He takes another drink, his last apparently. The demi-tasse is set on the table, empty. Maybe that's why he got an espresso, an easy out if you end up with a friggin' psycho. I'm done, time to go. I'll message you. My mood is pretty sour. Jason didn't even have a nickname for me. Jason sounds like a dick. I look up again, lock eyes, and mumble. Sorry, this probably isn't what you were expecting from a rougher hookup. Excuse me. Bathroom. I abandon my mug on the table and stand, slipping over to the men's bathroom before he has time to respond. I don't need to go to the bathroom, but this gives me a chance to rally. It also gives him a chance to escape if he wants. I turn on the hot water, give it a moment, then let it pool in my hands before bringing them up to my face. I give an audible sigh, water dripping from between my fingers, then look up at my reflection, hot mess coming right up. I grab a couple of the trifold paper towels, wring my hands, then do my best to wipe my face dry. When I emerge from the bathroom, he's gone. My tail droops as I make my way back to the sofa. Feeling better? I spin in place, tail hiking and giving a few excited shakes. Oh, I thought you left. There is a broad toothy smile as he offers a plate to me, a gigantic cookie sitting dead center. I thought you could use a little chocolate. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. I reach out and take the plate before sinking back to the sofa. You're quite welcome. And really. Are you feeling better? He takes a seat at the edge of the leather wingback, leaning my way. I have a lot of things that I'm figuring out, I guess. He visibly relaxes, then slides back fully into the seat. C'est la vie. He waves a hand before letting it fall to the arm of the chair. Those hazel eyes settle on me. And boss? I look up. I wasn't really expecting this to be a hookup. The wolverine motions to the cookie. You should have some. I'm sure something sweet will help perk you up. He winks at me as I reach forward and break off a piece of the gargantuan sweet. I take a bite, chew, then cover my mouth. So, you know what I put in jars? Can I ask what you do with your hands? His grin is lascivious. How forward. I choke on the cookie, which draws a deep laugh from him. He reaches over, giant hands settling on my back to give a few pats and rub before he finally answers. Well, as I said in my little bio, I'm something of an amateur chef. Like your jars though, it's varied. I spent a lot of time foraging recently. Have had some decent luck with mushrooms. The frost though will mean an end for that. There are a couple of late-bearing apple trees that I know of that I should visit soon. There's a flash of pink as he wets his bottom lip. Aside from that, I spend a lot of time working on my house. So some minor carpentry, touch-ups to woodwork. It's like a lot of the older homes around the town. At this point he pauses, regarding me for a long moment. I'm a bit of a tailor too. Have been trying to get better with a sewing machine. At this point I've eaten about a quarter of the cookie. I nudge the plate his way. Please, help me eat this. My tail flicks behind me, and my grin goes lopsided. Sorry, that wasn't me being disinterested. This is just a really big cookie. It's all really admirable, I mean. I don't really have that many hobbies. He reaches forward, fingers brushing against mine as he breaks off a part of the cookie. It sounded like you know your way around the kitchen. That's certainly something. Every time he's touched me, it's been a whirlwind of emotion. I'm sure my ears are flushed, and I really wish that I could control what's going on behind me. He takes another bite of the sweet, then motions at my tail. That's cute. I can't help but groan and roll my eyes. It's not very helpful when I'm trying to play poker. He gives another rich laugh. I'm sure. He finishes up the bit of cookie he's holding, then licks his fingertips. Oh, I hope this isn't just a hookup. That last line is delivered in such a genuine fashion, and as I look over, he's wearing that same sad smile on his profile photo. I want to kiss him. Well, if you can handle someone with a bit of baggage who's trying to figure out his life, I'd be happy to just call this coffee. Or our first date. Whichever works. My coffee has gone cold by this point. I'm sure of it. Rather than nurse it along, I grab the little cup and tip it back, finishing it quickly. He slides forward to the edge of the seat. First date works for me. He reaches my way, I freeze, and then gently thumbs across my bottom lip and jaw. Just a bit of coffee. If I wasn't blushing prior, I certainly am now. My eyes raise, and past him I can see the Fusa at the counter grinning like there's no tomorrow as she's whispering something to her panda coworker. The panda turns, a smile to match the other, and they both give a thumbs up. I toy with my collar, feeling extremely flushed, then lower my muzzle and poke at the cookie. Thank you, Stefan. I just didn't want it to stain your fur. He reclines into the wingback chair, hands folding in his lap. My brain's a bit overloaded at this point. I don't really know if I can carry on small talk much longer. As much as I'm enjoying this as a first date, the Gulo is incredibly handsome, ostensibly a nice guy, smells great, dresses well, a Renaissance man, and actually interested in me. Before I can stop myself, I just blurt the first thing that comes to mind. How old are you? The broad grin splays across his muzzle. You know, I honestly expected you to ask that before you asked about what I do with my hands. He winks. I die. Does it matter? My tail is once more bouncing around behind me. I mean, not really. If he wants to poke fun, then I'm just gonna dish it back. It doesn't feel malicious, more like he's trying to help me keep my mind off the issues that have popped up in our conversation. So what can I do but offer a coy smile and reach over to prod his leg a few times? But if you're a strapping young lad of 16, you really should tell me. I'd hate to end up in jail after all. I don't think that I have the constitution for it. His whole frame shifts, he laughs, and so do I. Oh shit. No, you're a few decades off. He's giving me a toothy grin, then rumbles up his answer. I'm 49. I hadn't expected there to be almost 20 years difference in age between us, and I think it's apparent by the look on my face, because for a second time, that sad smile shows up. I hope that's not an issue. I groan quietly, then use both hands to give my face a few slaps. He's raised an eyebrow, and I look back at him, muzzle slightly squished between my palms. No, not at all. In fact, I should ask you if 32 is an issue. Concern dissipates and he rumbles. No, not at all. We just gaze at each other. It's nice. Then he flicks his head past me as he stands. My turn for the loo. My eyes follow as he stands and saunters to the restroom. The gray t-shirt has ridden up his back a bit, exposing the fur just above the waist of his jeans. He reaches back and casually tugs it back into place, a thick tail of his thumping against his denim-clad ass. If he really is 49, he's damn fine for his age. As the door clicks shut, the Fusa suddenly appears, eyes sparkling as she leans down to collect our empty cups. Is it going well? It's an exaggerated whisper, the same as what was barely muffled by the espresso machine. I grin in response, which results in a quiet shriek, her tail thrashing around behind her. Good. Stefan is a really sweet guy. Her eyes dart to the bathroom door, then back. Just so you know, this is the longest that he's let a date go. My eyes flutter and I lean in. Yeah? He, brings a lot of guys here? She waves a hand. Oh, not really. Just a few. They usually tend to last about 20 minutes or so. Then whoever he comes with ends up leaving alone. She hitches a thumb back towards the bar, the panda's smiling at us. We're rooting for you, though. At about this time, the door to the bathroom pops open, so Beth turns on her heel, smiles at Stefan, and makes her way back, front, tail swaying behind her. As he's stepping around the back of the chair, Stefan casually adjusts the crotch of his pants. I do my best not to stare, so instead focus on the remainder of the cookie. Beth checking in on how everything's going. His muzzle turns to look at her as she dips behind the bar and gets to washing our mugs. Oh, she was just making the rounds, collecting dishes that the folks were done with. It's a lame out, but the truth. I hope you told her that it was going well. He turns back to me with a smile. I said nothing. There's another quirked eyebrow, which gets me to laugh, so I lean in, setting a hand on his knee. No, really. I just smiled, probably like a doof. His hand settles on top of mine, then gives a tender squeeze. You've got a great smile. I take a sharp breath through my nose. Thank you. Please stop making me blush. Stop making it so appealing. Stefan. I'm completely frazzled, my tail shaking quickly behind me. Sorry, boss. We're just getting to know each other and I wanted to see how far I could push it. I blush hotly, then squeeze his knee, which elicits another squeeze of my hand. With his free hand, he points to what remains of the cookie. You gonna finish that? I shake my head no. By all means, thank you again. The chocolate really did help. It's at that point I glance back to the hand covering mine that I realize just how deep the chocolate brown of his hands is. If we're going to have nicknames, maybe he could be Chocolate, but I don't know when I'd use that. He leans on forward, stomach giving the slightest pooch as he collects what's left of the sweet and devours it. My jacket vibrates, drawing his eyes. Reluctantly, I withdraw my hand from his knee, snag my jacket, and retrieve my phone from the pocket. Apologies. I know this is rude. He waves a hand my way. Don't worry about it. The screen hasn't powered off yet, so I catch most of the text from my mother before unlocking it to read it fully. Just got home, see that you found that key. Hope some fresh air is helping you clear your head. Just my mother. I place my phone face down on the coffee table. He gives a wolfish grin, then scratches at his chest, causing his shirt to raise up just enough to reveal a string of golden hair above his belt. If you want me to feel older, just tell me that you have a curfew. I shake my head, mock disgust in my voice. No curfew? However, if I don't return home by midnight, I'll turn into a pumpkin. Delicious. I sigh audibly as my tail once more gets wound up and starts dancing behind my back. There it goes again. I mutter, stop, over my shoulder at it, then turn back, propping my chin in my hand as I rest my elbow on the arm of the sofa. Stefan's just smiling away, amused at the way that the huge pile of fluff bounces. He gestures to my gyrating tail. I hope that this isn't rude, but, well... Are you a gray? My laugh cuts him short, and I reach back, drawing my tail into my lap so that I can pick through the white fur. No, not rude at all. Ma's a red and Pa's was a gray. I hug my tail to my chest, thinking about my father. When I was born, I was pretty white. The fancy name for it was oculocutaneous albinoism, But unlike other white squirrels, I got lucky and didn't end up with red eyes. It's striking. Very handsome. Thanks. I heft my tail awkwardly, then look over at him. What about you? You a natural blonde, or are you hiding some gray? I'm expecting that deep laugh, and I'm not disappointed. I usually keep it trimmed. I don't know how I got this shaggy. That said, no. What you see is what you get. Pretty standard as far as wolverines go, but I am more than blonde and brown. My eyes quickly wander over his frame, taking in what fur is showing. Blonde head, more blonde on his chest, chocolate brown on his hands and forearms. As my gaze wanders down towards that strip of belly fuzz, he laughs. I may be older than you, but that doesn't mean my crotch has gone white. I snort, then reach over and drag a couple of fingers along his exposed midriff. I was looking at this. He curls his hands around my forearm as he dips closer, muzzle brushing against mine before he murmurs into my ear. When can we have a second date? My ears flick, batting against his face, but I'm frozen. Finally, I manage to choke out. Tomorrow? I can feel his smile as he rubs his cheek affectionately against mine. That sounds fantastic. Time seems to drag on as he leans back, eyes meeting mine before he nods in approval. Caught up in the moment, we've both missed the reappearance of Beth. She leans down, collecting the crumb-covered cookie plate, then gives us both a huge smile. Can I get you gentlemen anything else today? Stefan releases my arm before straightening up in his chair. No thank you. She turns to me, waiting for a response. Oh, I think I'm all set, thanks. If you two need anything else, please let us know. She chirps, thumb hitching over her shoulder towards the bar. Once more, she heads back to the front of the store. I blink a few times, turning to face the wolverine. I thought that you were supposed to self-bus your tables, or has that changed in the past few years? The simple statement of what I assumed fact finally gets a blush from the gulo. He clears his throat. That's still status quo. She's just very fond of me. As I was ordering, she also said that you were quite handsome. She must be hoping that this goes better than a few of my last dates. I hope that it is, or rather, I hope that it's been a pleasant surprise. It's been lovely. You seem like a very genuine guy. You've been easy to talk to, and you are handsome. A content sigh escapes my lips as I ease my way to the edge of the sofa. Can I give you my number? He nods, and we both grab our phones. I recite mine, San Francisco area code and all. Send me a text, that will be easier. He's dexterous, nails ticking against the glass surface of his phone as he composes a message. My phone vibrates as it comes through. What time tomorrow? Rather than answer directly, I unlock my phone, navigate to the message, and add him as a contact. Afterwards, I click back to the conversation and reply, 1 o'clock? He reaches over, squeezes my arm, and then quietly rumbles. Perfect. We can figure out specifics later. Let me think of something to surprise you with. Alright. This seems like the appropriate time to call date 1 a wrap, so I stand, collecting my leather jacket and slipping back into it. He follows suit and chuckles when I reach over to give his gray tee a gentle tug down, covering his paunch. I motion towards the door. After you. You'd probably drown in my tail if you walked behind me anyways. He laughs loudly, gives a little shrug. That might not be a bad thing. As we're passing the counter, he turns and calls thanks to the girls. Chimes are sent ringing as we exit. I'm a few steps ahead of him when I make up my mind. Silently, I spin around. He hasn't noticed that I stopped. He's watching both baristas through the glass of the front window. He bumps into me, causing me to take a half step back. He freezes, looks down at me, so I take the moment to be forward. My right hand settles on his hip. My left curls around the lapel of his leather jacket. I lean up and smile as I catch hints of chocolate and coffee on his breath. We kiss in front of the coffee shop. Everything in that moment feels perfect. To be continued. That was actually a rather short update. So that was nice. It went a lot smoother than I thought it would, considering most first date stories usually end up being very silly, or like, oh, we met up, but like stuff happened and I spilled coffee on you, or something. I don't know. Well, it's nice that it went well, considering everything that he's gone through. The whole thing with San Francisco leaving a bitter taste in his mouth. I mean, because, like, seriously, dude, San Francisco isn't that bad. I know they have a homeless problem. It does stink a little right now, but it's not that bad. What else? It is a little weird, though, that you had I guess you could call it a situationship, with your roommate, who was also sort of technically, but not really, maybe your boyfriend, but not really, because, like, as soon as you lost your job, your source of income, they kind of unceremoniously kicked you out. In a way, they found someone else to rent, which, I mean, technically, it is San Francisco, and it is very expensive to live there in the Bay Area. The Bay Area in general. And, like, yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense why they got rid of you. It would have been a little bit more understandable if they said, okay, we're gonna have to find a roommate, and you can live here for as long as, for a while until you can find a job. But if you can't, then, you know, I'm gonna have to have you leave. But then again, if it was a situationship, then, you know, that probably wasn't gonna happen. But oh well. He's home now, and he's apparently finding a new guy. A Wolverine. You know what's funny? He reminds me of somebody that I don't personally know, but I do know of, who is also a Wolverine, whose persona looks suspiciously like Stefan's, and who's a Vorfer. So I was like, is he gonna eat the squirrel? Anyways, but yeah. Tangent aside, this story is, it's already locked in place how many chapters it's gonna have. And, so either this is gonna end up being like a really nice story, or it's gonna be, it's not gonna turn out good. Like I said, the chapters are already set, and based on the names, the author said, like, you can kind of guess where it's gonna go. And there's 13 chapters. If you know French, then you can probably guess more or less what's gonna happen, I guess. Anywho, go to the menu. Anywho, so yeah, you know, write down in the comments what you think, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Le Tome yourself, you can do so by going down to the link in the description, which should have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download the game and play it. And if you would like to support the project, they do have a Patreon, which I am highlighting right now in the weird orange color. I don't know why they changed it from, like, the actual P to this weird blob. Stupid Patreon. They do have a Ko-fi in case you want to, you know, support them through there. But, like, yeah, if you subscribe to their Patreon, you get early access to builds of Le Tome, you know, before everyone else. the usual stuff. It's kind of funny right here. The picture makes them look like the same size. Even though the Stefan is like a little bit more in front of him, the squirrel still looks like the same height. In fact, Stefan actually looks shorter. But yeah. Also, Discord, they have that. They have everything. I will probably, if I remember, link all of those down in the description with the exception of Discord because they don't... I mean, people don't really like your Discord to be just put out there by random people. You know, you kind of have to go looking for where they put it out. But yeah, so all my links will also be down in the description, and I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.